presentation. The presentation name is itself Decoding Diabetic Retinopathy. So it is basically, it was my subject of post-graduation. And when we, during our post-graduation, we have searched diabetic retinopathy in all the texts which is available at our Kothar Institute. But we could not find anything similar to diabetic retinopathy. So we have to actually find out how diabetic retinopathy occurs and how it treats. So now let us discuss on diabetic retinopathy. So what is a diabetic retinopathy? The first slide is what is diabetic retinopathy? The diabetic retinopathy has three words. One is diabetic, second is retina, and third is pathy. So diabetic, definitely it is because of diabetes. Second is retino, definitely the site of disease is retina, and pathy is a disease. So in simple word, it is a disease of retina because of diabetes. Now, why diabetic retinopathy? Why Dr. Mangesh sir has created this 1 hour lecture for diabetic retinopathy? So diabetic retinopathy is the deadliest disease as far as blindness is concerned. Now you just imagine in world 2020, 46.3 crore are diabetic in world population. Out of that, 7.7 crores. So almost I think 15% are diabetics in our country, India. And in 2045, it is supposed to be 15 or 15 plus something crores in India. So you can imagine what a diabetic population will be in India. And that's why they are saying that India may be a diabetic capital of the world, which is not good as far as our Ayurveda is concerned. So out of this 2.6 crore, out of 7.7 crore, 2.6 crore will be having diabetic retinopathy. So you can imagine that 2.6 crore people surrounding you may be suffering from diabetic retinopathy. Now diabetic retinopathy, if you consider type 1 diabetes, then almost all diabetic patients with type 1 after 20 years, they are suffering with diabetic retinopathy. And similarly, if you consider type 2, then almost 60% of the diabetic type 2 person after 20 years, they will be having diabetic retinopathy. So you can imagine that this is a widespread disease, and unfortunately it is related with blindness. So if you consider young people, young blind people, then almost 80 to 86% people are blind because of diabetic retinopathy. In older person, the rate goes to 60% because of several other issues like cataract and everything. So that's why it is almost 60%. So you can just imagine that almost in a younger generation, India is a younger country, and in younger blind people, there is almost 80 to 90% people are blind because of diabetic retinopathy. Now we will go to the structural part of the retina. You can see that there is a sclera and everything, so that I think we will ignore. So our area of concern is only retina. So this is the retina, what you can see here, and in the retina, this is an optic nerve. Nerves from all over the retina, they concentrate into this area, and from this area they pass it to brain. And then this is a fovea, and fovea surrounding 5 mm is a macula. So this is what you can see diabetes. You can see a normal retina in the funduscope. For funduscope, you can see this is a optic disc. So this is the left side, so we are seeing the left eye. And this is a venous structure, which is a dark red color. This is an arterial structure, which is a light red in color. Then all over the retina, whatever may be the nervous structure is there, so that is concentrated in the optic nerve. And this goes to the brain. This is called as fovea, and surrounding this fovea, the circle which is there around 5 mm of diameter, this is called as macula, which is the main area required for the sight, which is the main area where we can, because of which we can see. Now we will go with the stages of diabetic retinopathy. Now diabetic retinopathy is, as I said, it's a diabetic because of diabetes and damage to retina. So that's why it is called as a diabetic. Now this is a mild non-proliferative type. There are basically two diabetic retinopathy. One is a proliferative diabetic retinopathy and another is a non-proliferative retinopathy. Non-proliferative means there is no proliferation in the vessels, so that's why it is called as a non-proliferative. And proliferation in the vessels, that is called as proliferative. So we will come to know what are the stages of diabetic retinopathy. Mild non-proliferative diabetic retinopathy. This is basically, you can see here a circle is marked. Here you can see a small spot. So this is basically a microaneurysm. Microaneurysm is like there is a vessel, and the vessel there is a stretch, there is a tension in one area, so that comes out, that protrudes out like a balloon. So this is called as microaneurysm. So this is a first stage of diabetic retinopathy, where you can see this small balloon-like structure, small dot-like structure. So this is a microaneurysm, where it is a balloon-like structure swelling in the retina's tiny blood vessels. So this is a first stage, which is actually possible in 4 to 5 years after you have a diabetes. And unfortunately, we don't examine fundus for any patient or other diabetic patient. So this stage is normally we missed out, which is the most critical stage and what we missed out. So it proceeds to next stage. Now what happens to that thin vessels? So that thin vessels become more and more thin, and unfortunately that causes a bleeding. So that tear out and the bleeding causes. So this is what is called as a bleeding. You can see here, this is a microaneurysm. Then this is a bleeding. This spot you can see. This spot you can see, so this is a bleeding. So this microaneurysm tears and there is a small amount of blood which goes. Now these blood spots are basically of three spots. One is a dot spot which you can see here. This is a dot spot. The other is a blot spot. Blot spot is like ink spreading on the paper or ink spreading on the, which you can see I think here a little bit blot spot. So this is a blot spot where ink spreads on the paper or ink spreads on the surface and then it gets blot. So this is a blot spot. And third is a flares. So flare is like a flare of fire or something sort of a thing. So this is a flare sort of a bleeding spot. So actually first stage is that there is a thinning of the vessel and then it comes out like a balloon. So this is a microaneurysm. Second stage, that microaneurysm gets bursted, and from there is a little blood comes out in this areas. Now, not only the blood comes out, along with the blood, there is a protein, there is a lipid molecule that also comes out, and that stays on the retina, so which is forming a hard exudates. So this is the third stage of retinopathy, where it's a severe stage. So here you can see these are the hard exudates. This is a flare, and now this is a, let's say this is a hard exudate, white spot. Okay. So this hard exudates consist of a protein or a lipid molecule which is coming out from a blood, which stays there. This is called a hard exudates. And in severe non-proliferative diabetes retinopathy, what happens is that because of the blockage, this area of the retina that doesn't get blood, so it becomes white, what we call as Pandu in Ayurveda. So this is something which is called as a retinal ischemia. So that becomes cotton wool spots. This looks like a cotton wool. You know the cotton and cotton, how cotton wool looks. So this is basically a cotton wool spots where the retinal ischemia takes place. So there is a criteria of severe NPDR. If there is a hemorrhage in the 4 quadrants, all 4 quadrants should have a little hemorrhage here and here. Here there is a hemorrhage. So all 4 quadrants should have a hemorrhage. Venous bleeding. You can see this venous bleeding in the lower diagram. This you can see, this is a venous bleeding. There is a segmentation. You can see if you have seen the previous, this is a clear-cut vein. This is a normal vein which is going on. And the next stage, this is a venous bleeding. This is a segmentation of the bleeding. So this is a venous bleeding. That means the venous structure is also damaged. And IRM, that is also known as intraretinal microvascular abnormalities. So both this microvessels, you can see here it is damaged, it is cut, it is tortured. So this kind of a microvascular abnormalities take place. So this is the third stage where actually the retinal vessels start itself damage. And the last stage which you can see is, these are the small vessel takes place. So from this area, because of the ischemia, retina demands more amount of blood. So to fulfill this blood, there is a small new vessels are coming out. So this is called as a proliferation of the vessels. So these are very weak vessels. So fortunately or unfortunately, these vessels also bleed, and then this causes a further hemorrhages in this area. Because of hemorrhage, there is a macular edema takes place, and this macular edema, this blood vessels go into this blood goes behind the retinal structure, and they actually pull the retina out so that there is a retinal detachment. So this is a unfortunately sequence of the diabetic retinopathy. Mostly patient comes out to us in the second or third stage, unless and until we are proactive and we are seeing each and every retina of diabetic patient. Now let us revise what is the pathophysiology of a diabetic retina. As I said, wall of retinal blood vessels get weakened because of uncontrolled high sugar. There is a polyol gateway, this is aldose reductase. There are several other postulates they have said, but we will just concentrate on the wall of retinal blood vessel weaken. Because of that, retinal vessels get blocked. So this is causing a microaneurysm. This is the first stage, what we have discussed. Second stage, these weak vessels leak blood fluid into protein, which is called as a hemorrhagic spots or hard exudates. Now, because of these vessels, there is no blood to the corneal or retinal layer, so that's why it gets ischemic, causing cotton wool spots. This, because of the ischemia, retina demands more and more blood. Because of that, new small weak vessels develop. This is related to venous bleeding and further bleeding to the retina. And these new vessels also further bleed, and that is causing macular edema or retinal detachment. Once there is a severe macular edema or retinal detachment, which leads to the complete blindness. Now, in short, I have given this pathophysiology of a diabetic retinopathy. I hope everyone understands. Now, treatment of retinopathy. Now, treatment of retinopathy, I am not going into the details of what allopathic people or what modern medicine does. They do laser surgery, and then there are many other aspects they do. There are many other medicines also they have. But now we will restrict ourselves to only Ayurveda. So what is diabetic retinopathy? What we have seen the pathophysiology. Now, how to treat diabetic retinopathy? What we can do, there are two options for available in our practice. I'm not going too much into theory because I am a pure practitioner. So I will go as what we can do in a practice. You all are scholars, so you can always refer Charak Sushruta, but anytime and then we will get the details there. So we will not go into more into theoretic part, and we will concentrate more into the practical aspects of retinopathy. So what we can do, as we are doing in several other diseases, we call prameha as diabetic mellitus, and we treat whatever there is in prameha, we treat in diabetes. We consider Rajayaksma as a TB, and we use the same thing. We use Pandu as an anemia, and then we treat the similar. So similarly, it is very close to Timir. So whatever is in Timir, we will copy and we can do the treatment. That is a one way of treating the disease, which is not actually Ayurvedic, but we can treat it in a similar way. The other way, which is more Ayurvedic pathophysiology, is basics on pathophysiology. We can correlate with our Dosha Dhatu Mala Siddhanta, and then we can treat accordingly. So we will see in the both way how we can do it. So as I said, we can consider it as a Timir or whatever may be other textual reference. So first is a Timir. So in Timir, we all know that Tritiya and Chaturtha Patal, that is for darkness or dampness in the voice and in the eyes and blindness. So Timir is one disease which has a very close similarity with diabetic retinopathy. Second in Sushruta, Sushruta is called Pratishay as a Upadrava of Prameha. So in Pratishay also there is a blood which and there is a complication which has been mentioned. Then Charak in Pandu, it is called as Hatendriya Lakshan. So Indriya Hatha, that means Indriya Nash, that is one of the symptom which is called in Pandu. So here also there is a Chakshundriya Nash, so that we can correlate with Pandu. Pita Vidmutra Netrata is called as a complication of Pittacha Prameha in Sushruta. So you can see the color of retina changes into ischemic, so that you can correlate with Pittacha Prameha. In Sushruta Samhita, there is one Anjan which is called as Tuvarak Anjan. So that can be related with Timir and again diabetic retinopathy. And last, our common answer to all these kind of things is Anukta Vyadhi. Vikaranam Jivyo Kushalo Kadachana. So that shlok we always by heart, and we whenever there is a problem we throw that shlok. Similarly, we have thrown this shlok in COVID. So this time also we can use this shloka that you don't require any name for any Vyadhi. You can just treat similar. But then in the back of the mind, we all know that we should have some pathophysiology correlation with Ayurvedic concept. Then only we can treat diabetic retinopathy successfully. So management approach, what should be the management approach of diabetic retinopathy? Now we have discussed two ways, as I said. Now this is the second way where we know the pathophysiology of diabetic retinopathy, and then we can treat accordingly stage-wise diabetic retinopathy. So whenever we are treating the disease, we should have some approach to treat the disease. So these are the 5 aspects of diabetic retinopathy we can correlate with, and we have to treat this disease accordingly. To treat bahudravata of kapha, to treat dhatu shaitya and abadhata of meda, to prevent dhatu ksharan, to strengthen the strotas, and to rebuild the lost dhatus, especially in the retina, the site. So these are the 5 basic modalities of management, and how we can arrive to these modalities that we will see further. So pathophysiology of understanding what we have learned till now. So let's correlate with the Ayurvedic pathophysiology. Now what we have seen is wall of retinal blood vessels weaken. So this is causing uncontrolled, because of uncontrolled high sugar, and vessels are blocked. So this is the pathophysiology we have seen as per the allopathy or as per the modern text. Now here, what happens in the Prameha is there are 2 things which is very clearly said in all the 3 Sahitas, Charak, Sushruta and Nakvat. There is Bahuta and Abadhata of Kapha and Meda. So because of Kapha Bahuta, there is a lot of pressure in the retinal vessels, and because of that, and Meda Bahuta, there is a blockage in the retinal vessels. And then second thing is Abadhata. So we all know that Medasa Sneham Adaya Sira Snayutva Apde. So there is a close relation of Meda Sneha in the formation of vessels. Now Sneha is related with Kapha, and Kapha, which dosh is dominant here is a Kapha. And Kapha, which is called in Meda, is in diabetes, in Prameha is Bahudrava Shleshma Dosha Vishesha. So there is an increase in Kapha, the Drava Gun has been increased. In Meda, there is a Abadhata and Bahuta both. So we have to treat 3 things here. One is a Bahuta, Visheshta Drava Gun of Kapha. The second thing what we have to treat is Bahuta and Abadhata of Meda. So these 3 things we have to take consideration while treating the first stage of diabetic retinopathy. Now here we can see Dosha, which is Kapha, Dusha is Meda, and Sthan is a Akshi, which is a Mrajya Sthan or which is a Pitta dominant Sthan. So now in this stage we are very clear in interpreting the 3 things. First thing is Bahuta of Kapha, especially Drava Guna of Kapha. Second thing, Bahuta of Meda, and third thing is Abadhata of Meda. Bahuta of Meda causing blockages, Abadhata of Meda along with Bahuta of Kapha causing this kind of a micro aneurysms in the vessels, because all these vessels are made up of Meda and Sneh. Now stage 1, stage of microaneurysm. So why we are treating the thing Bahuta of Meda. So how the Bahuta of Meda can be treated? In Ayurveda, it is very clearly stated that all diabetes patients should be given a Rukshan. So food like Yava you can use. You can use Udvartan. So this is the most ignored part in Ayurveda, Udvartan. We give always Gurmar, we give Mame Java, we give all other kind of a thing, but the most important thing for Bahuta and Abadhata of Meda is Udvartan, which is very clearly described in all the signs. So Udvartan, I think we should use in our practice, and let's see what are the changes we can get in a diabetes patient. Udvartan we are using with the Kulathadi Churna. Udvartan you can use a simple Tripla Churna, or you can use a simple Masur or something, Masur powder, and that you can use in a Udvartan. But Udvartan is a full body Udvartan, so you can just imagine that whole body Meda Dhatu, which is there is a Shaitilya, the same Shaitilya is in the retinal vessels. So if you do the Udvartan to the whole body, naturally the Shaitilya of Meda is going to be reduced. The most important third thing is Sutoshotan. So Sutoshotan can be only done in which this is Stula and Stula Pramehi and Balvani. So in those Stula and Balvan Pramehi, we can do Vaman and Virechan. Of course, this has to be done very taking utmost care of especially Vaman and Virechan. Virechan you can use Arakvad or similar Mrudu Virecha Dravya. So this is basically you can treat the Bahuta of Meda. Similarly, Abadhata of Meda. So Abadhata of Meda, you can use Medogna Dravya like Surasati Gand. The two things which is very clearly mentioned in Charak Samhita or Sushruta Samhita or Vakpat also, that Vyayam and Udvartan. Vyayam is very clearly mentioned as one of the best modalities of treating because there is a Abadhata of Meda. And Abadhata you have to make into Baddhata, make into Sthira Guna. So we all know that Vyayam is Thairya Karanam Sreshta. So you have to use Vyayam as a best modality for this. So you have to use Vyayam as a best modality to treat the first stage of microaneurysm, that is Abadhata of Meda. Second stage, second thing which I have already discussed, Udvartanam. So Udvartanam is something which we don't use in our practice very often. I think we should all start using Udvartan in our practice and let us see if there is any effect on the your blood sugar or maybe a diabetic first stage. Second is Bahudravata of Kapha. So for treating Bahudravata of Kapha, we need Vriksha. For that, we need Tikta, Katu and Kashaya Ras, specifically Kashaya Anuras Dravya, Ushna Dravya. So these are all Dravyas which is specifically mentioned in Charak Samhita as a Surasadi Gana and Nyagrodati. So you can give Surasadi Gana if it is a Vata dominant, if you feel you can give Tail. If you feel that it is a Pitta dominant, you can give Ghruta. So Surasati Gana Dravya you can give as a decoction if the patient is too much of Kapha. So that way you can treat or you can check Bahudravata of Kapha. And Sthanik Chikitsa, we all know if there is a lot of cough, you can give Nasya Anutel. If there is a lot of cough, you can give Tarpan by means of Triphala. So this is the first stage of microaneurysm if you start treating from the same stage. Now, unfortunately, people with microaneurysm, they don't come to us. People only come when there is a second or later last third stage, when there is a proliferative of severe non-proliferative diabetic retinopathy. So what we have to do is that if we are treating diabetes patient, right from day one or maybe any diabetes patient we are treating, we should start utilizing any of these treatment in our therapy. We can tell them patient to, of course, we tell patient to use Vyayam, but the things which we don't tell patient to do Udvartanam, so that can be added in our prescription. We can use Samshodhan, Vaman or Virechan, maybe a Mrudu Virechan every month so that the Bahuta of Meda can be checked if the patient is Sthula Pramehi and Balwan Pramehi. In those things we can use Vaman or Virechan. And these two things are very important, Surasati Gana and Nyagrodati Gana. So this we can use maybe as a tablet or maybe as a decoction or maybe as I said it's a Ghruta or something like that. We can start this in the first stage of diabetes so that patients Bahudravata and Bahudravata of Kapha and Bahu and Abadhata of Meda gets checked at the early stage and patient should not go to the later stages of diabetic retinopathy. What are the medicines in stage 1? Now, I have given some references from Charak Samhita just to show you that whatever the medicines they have used, they are of Katu, Tikta and Kashayas. So this is similar to what we have seen. This is a Kapha Pitta Pramehi. So this is similar what we have thought of the first stage treatment. Palatrikadikva. This is the most important part, and you can see Palatrik, Daru Nisha, Vishala, Mustan, Nisha. So these are all basically all herbs are basically of Katu, Tikta and Kashayas. What we can use very prominently is Madhvasav, Dantyasav and Bhallakatasav. So these kind of asav we can use Chitrakasav, we can use other asav, Haritaki, Abhyarishta we can use in these stages. So these are any asav and arishta which is basically of Tikta, Katu, Kashaya Ras. This we can use as a successful for a successful treatment, not treatment, for successful prevention of diabetic retinopathy. Now stage 2 stage is a ischemia. What we have seen is that this aneurysm started leaking and then this is called as a hemorrhagic spot and hard exudates. Now there is a leakage is already started. So there is a swelling in the retinal area, macular area, causing ischemia to retina. So now we have to check the swelling, we have to check the hemorrhage and we have to treat the ischemia of retina. So these are the two things which is very important in the stage 2. First is hemorrhagic spots, so we have to stop the bleeding. Again, there is a Kashaya Ras we can use. And third thing is we have to stop the ischemia. We have to supply the ischemia. We have to nourish the ischemia which has been causing. We have to nourish the retinal layer of blood vessels so that there is no ischemia, further ischemia takes place. So now we will correlate with the Ayurvedic way. There is due to blood loss, there is a dhatu kshay. Due to ischemia, there is a retinal shrinking takes place. Of course, Shayajanya Vata Vruddhi. So dosha here is Vata, Dushya is Majja, Sthan again the Akshi which we all know. And now instead of Chaya, it has started going into the deeper layers of retina. So that is called as Prakop and Prasar. And this is a common stage which we see our patient because there is a slight uh, difference in the vision and the patient started getting blood vision or something and then patient goes to eye specialist and then they diagnose it as a diabetic retina. So this is a stage we have to treat two things. First thing is vessel leakage, so there is a edema. And second thing we have to treat is a ischemia of retina. So we have to treat two stages as per Ayurveda. There is a Vata Vruddhi and Dhatu Kshay. So we have to give something which is a Vata Nashak or Vata Shamak we can give. Simultaneously it should be Dhatu Kshay. So Ayurveda there is a clear cut written Laghu and Santarpanajanya Ahar. Of course, it is as good as a Rasayan. Rasayan is a thing which we have to use in the second stage. So there are 2-3 very common Rasayan or Rasayan Kalpa which is written Nisha Amlakiyo, Uduchi, Uduchadi Growth which is written, Bokshurati Growth, Tripattakadi Sneha which has been written there. So that also we can use as a Rasayan module in the ischemia stage. There are two things which is very clearly mentioned in Sushruta Samhita, Tuvrak and Shilajit. Now, Tuvrak is very less used medicine, Tuvrakadi tel, and we all use Chalmogra tel or Tuvrak tel in Kushta. Specifically now ringworm we are using, in leprosy we use, so all Kushta we use Tuvrak. But surprisingly, Sushruta has given the treatment of Madhumeha. It has said Tuvrak is one of the best medicine in treatment of Madhumeha. So Tuvrak and Shilajit, these are the two things which are very commonly, which should be used in these stages of ischemia. Why it should be used? Let us see. Tuvrak, you can see Meha and Vranashoka. So this is a classical combination of Meha and Vranashoka. We have seen that retinal, there is a retinal leakage of blood vessels, and because of that there is a ischemia. So in Tuvrak, these two things are very commonly written. So that's why I think we should use Tuvrak in these stages of retinopathy. Mahavirya Tuvraka, Kushta Meha Apahapara. So he has very clearly said Kushta and Meha. These two theses where there is a lot of clay inside your body. So this Mahavirya Turak that we can be used in these stages. Second medicine which has been recommended by Acharya Sushruti is Shilajit. In Shilajit it is very clearly written Meha Shlipadankaram. So this is the best for Meha. And last line is I think which is a Sushrut, which is most practical person, where he has not written a single word which is not practical. When he has written Na so asti roga ya fi nihanti Shilajit, there is not a single drug is there which is not treated by Shilajit. So in Shilajatu, if you want to treat Meha, of course, what we can use, we can give it a bhavna of Kashaya. So we can give a Salasarati Karn bhavna, or we can give Navrodadi Kashaya. So we can prepare a Shilajit in similar way. Or if you don't want to use Shilajit, if you don't have Shilajit, then you can use Chandra Prabhavati or any other medicine which contains Shilajit. And of course, with Kashayaras or maybe with Katuras. This is the second stage is over. Now third stage, which is a very unfortunate stage of neovascularization. We have seen that there is a retinal ischemia which has already taken place. Retina is become white, so that's why it is a cotton wool like appearance. And in this stage, retina demands more blood. So naturally, it gives a signal to your hypothalamus that okay, I am shrinking. Please give me more blood. Please give me more blood. So what brain does is that brain starts formation of new vessels. Now these are the very small and weak vessels start developing, and because of that, there is a reverse pressure on the veins, and veins get tortured, and which is very similar to Dhatu Kshay. Dosh, again, there is a Vata Vruddhi because there is a new vascularization taking place. Now there is a Meda and Macha which is completely damaged. Sthan is same, Akshi, and now it has started Sthan Sarshay. It has gone very deep into your retinal tissues and started neovascularization. Next stage, which is also similar, new vessels further bleed. They causes macular edema. Macular edema, because of bleeding, that bleeding goes behind the retina and that pull the retina, and that is called retinal detachment. So there is a complete destruction of dhatu. Dosha again, vata vritti, it can be vritti, it can be vritti plus 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 plus. Medha majja, sthan is of course akshi, and then now it has started vakti and breaks. Now it has actually started degenerating disease of your retina. So what is the basic Ayurvedic principle in this? Dhatu Kshaya, complete Dhatu Kshaya, complete Vatavati. So we need something which is really Balya and Rasayan to the deeper Dhatus, to Asti Majja. So these are the four things which has been described in any text whenever there is a damage in the deeper Dhatu. Say for Raja Yakshma, say for Pandu, say for anywhere where there is a damage of deeper Dhatus, we use these four things, Suvarna Rajat, Abhadar, Raupya, and Shilaji. So these are the four things which we use whenever there is a deeper dhatu kshay to rejuvenate these. And how we can use? So these are the four, which is very commonly 4 or 5 kalpas, which is very commonly used: Vasant Kusmakar, Suvarna Malini Vasant, Yogaraj, Mahalakshmi Vilas, and Saptamrut Law. Saptamrut Law is a netra, so which can be used in the second stage also. Vasant Kusmakar. Vasant Kusmakar is a very beautiful combination, and the name itself suggests Vasant Kusmakar. So Vasant, that means spring. So in spring, after autumn, there is a loss of leaf, there is loss of flowers, there is nothing. The trees are completely barren in the autumn. This is, and now after autumn, then the spring comes. There is all over the leaves are there, the flowers come back. So similarly, the disease where everything has gone down, there is complete kshaya of dhatu. The medicine which can bring again the vigor and virality to the body, that is called as Vasant Kusmakar. We will go in depth of Vasant Kusmakar, why it is the best choice of medicine in these stages. Suvarna Malini Vasant is, we all know that this is the best medicine for Kshaya. Similar pathophysiology, but of course in a different stage, different place. But here also there is a complete Kshaya of the Majja Dhatu, Asti Dhatu. So in these cases, Majja Dhatu and Medha Dhatu. So in these cases, Suvarna Malini Vasant can be also used. Yogaraj, which is mentioned as a, not Yogaraj Gugu or something, but Yogaraj is a very good, similar to Suvarna Malini Vasant formulation which is mentioned in Pandu. So you can go through it. It also contains Suvarna, Raupya, Abrak, Loha, all these tonics. Mahalakshmi Vilas. This is a very beautiful medicine which we are using in now post-COVID cases, similarly to Vasant Kusmakar. So Mahalakshmi Vilas is a medicine where there is a loss of blood supply because of weakness in the heart or weakness in the blood vessels. Mahalakshmi Vilas plays a very beautiful role. So similarly, we can use Mahalakshmi Vilas in certain cases. There is a slight difference when to use. Vasant Kusmakar basically it works on the nerves and it works on the blood vessels. So there is a retinal detachment, retinal ischemia. So it is a combination of nerves and blood vessels. So Vasant Kusmakar is the best medicine in diabetic retinopathy, stage 2 and 3. Suvarna Malini Vasant we can use in the second stage itself, where it has not completely kshay, but it has started degeneration. Yogaraj also similarly we can use in the same stage. Mahalakshmi Vilas can be used in a Pusha person, where there is a loss of, is a weak, emaciated, there is a weakness in the heart, there is a weakness in the pumping of the heart, and that's why there is a less blood supply to the retina. So there we can use Mahalakshmi Vilas. Saptamrut Law, which is a general medicine which you can start from second stage or at the first stage. As I mentioned in my this discussion first, that when patient comes to us for a diabetes, we should add similar to Saptamrut Law kind of a medicine, or Navayas Law, or Tapyabi Law kind of a medicine, right from day one to the diabetes patient, so that they cannot go into the later stage. They cannot go into the stage very early. So this is the things which we have to think of adding in our treatment. Now Vasant Kusmakar is one of the best drugs we have used in our, this is the drug which we have used in our diabetic retinopathy theory study during our MD. So Vasant Kusmakar is a herbal mineral formulation which contains Suvarna and Rajat Bhasma, which contains Vanga, Kantaloha, Visatha Bhasma, Vanga Yunu, best for Shukra. Kantalo is basically for nourishment, and 4 parts of Parak Bhasma, Aparak Bhasma, Praval and Moktik. So you can just see Praval and Moktik. This is for Pittach part. This is for nourishment. Aparak Bhasma for Nadi Daupalya, and Suvarna and Rajat for all dhatus. So this is an excellent combination of Bhasmas which is used for nourishment of all tissues. And you just see the Bhavna Dravi. It's Kamal, Malti, Chameleon, Rose. So these are all flowers. And this is a surprising for us that why the flowers Bhavna has been used. So similarly, Vasanta Kusumaka. So Kusum is a similar name of flowers. So flower is the last stage of any herb. After flower, then there is a regeneration and it turns into a fruit. So this is a stage of your diabetic retinopathy where you are almost reached to the end stage. It reaches to the end stage of your dhatu. So rose, kamal, malti, and chameli, these are used. It has been triturated with cow's milk, Ikshuras, Vasa, Kamal, Jalavekas, Haritra, and Kadalikanda. So you can see cow's milk. See here, Vasa is also used, Kamal is also used. So you can just imagine what kind of a thought process of our acharyas while designing this Vasant Kusmakar Ras. Now, Vasant Kusmakar Ras can use in all stages, but especially we use in a second and third stage in a non-proliferative early stage diabetic retinopathy to proliferative diabetic retinopathy. So it's Madhura Kashai Ras, check Bahudravata of Kapha, Mehagna Prabhav, so naturally Mehag, it's a diabetic retinopathy, so diabetes. Rasayana, improve function of Dhatvarni. Balya, it's a Balya, so Dhatu Shaikil and Dhatu Abhagata, that both can be checked. Rakta Pitta, because of Vasa, Kamal and everything, so regulates Raktastrava and Chakshush. So that's why it helps in improving the vision. So we have done a clinical study on PKR, and to our surprise also, there are reversible changes in the retina. Now, when we have done this study with a ophthalmologist who is a number one ophthalmologist, and it has been done as a double-blind study, where we also don't know the person who was taking the medicine, they also don't know. The ophthalmologist was also not aware of which person is getting the placebo treatment and which person is getting the Vasant Kusmakar Ras. And when we done the final analysis, the ophthalmologist was also surprised to see the changes, whatever took place in the retina, as per their thinking, it cannot be reversed. But we could see that the changes are reversed, and which he has reported also in the thesis. The deterioration of progression condition are found to Vasant Kusmakar. It can stop the deterioration. The VGF factor which is there, this is one of the drug which has been studied very deeply, and it can prove that VGF factor can be dealt with Vasant Kusmakar. Now we have completed the Vasant Kusmakar, we have completed the diabetic retinopathy. I again said that these are the 3 stages of diabetic retinopathy, and we have studied each and every stage. I have shared my experience of each and every stages treating with diabetic retinopathy. Now you have done all the Madhu Manthan. So while studying the diabetic retinopathy, we have certain questions in our mind. So I would like to share my questions with all of you. Let us discuss, all of us, what may be the answers. So these are some questions why there is no mention of retinopathy. Now retinopathy, as we have all seen, it can cause a blindness. It has a very high rate of blindness. So in Charak Sushruta time also there may be a blindness, similar blindness must have taken place. If he has mentioned Prameha, then why he has not mentioned retinopathy? So this is the answer. This is the answer we all are searching. Prameha is equal to diabetes. Now there is a lot of argument that Prameha is equal to diabetes or Madhumeha is equal to diabetes. If Prameha is equal to diabetes, then the symptom of classical diabetes, polypepsia, weight loss or weight, these all symptoms, why they have not mentioned in Prameha. Charak, Sushruta or backward, if we search, then we cannot find as polypepsia or weight loss, these kind of symptoms in Prameha. Some other people say diabetes is like Madhumeha because there is a sugar in the everywhere. So as per Ayurveda, Madhumeha is a last stage. And so after Madhumeha, there is a full stop. There is an end. There is nothing. Pujo Visthams has taken place. And the patient is almost, Madhumeha is asadhya. But in practice, we see diabetes patient can live up to 30-40 years without any problems, without any much complication. So if it is a Madhumeha, then it should have ended in 1 or 2 or 3 years. So diabetes is the only disease probably that there is no separate rupa is mentioned. In all disease you can see purva roop, roop, then samanya lakshan, vishesh lakshan. But diabetes is a disease where there is only one symptom is mentioned, prabhuta avilam mukha. So there is no mention in the, like I said, polypepsia, polydipsia, loss of weight, or other things, which is all mentioned in the Purva Roop, but which is not mentioned in the Roop. Why it is? Why classical signs and symptoms, as I just said, there is no match with except the sweet urine, which is doesn't match with Prameha or Madhumeha. Now, if we see the Prameha, uh, it is basically related with the urinary system. So urinary system, Kapha Prameha, there is a lot of urine which is passing. There is a when it turns to pitta, then there is a next involvement of dhatu, which is blood, and then the last stage of Vatash Prameha, there is a Vasa Majja Hasti, so Madhumeha, so Oj Madhumeha. So it is a progression of disease, which we can see in the Prameha classical description of Charak Samhita. So is Prameha related with nephropathy, or is nephropathy is one of the part of Prameha which is described in the Charak Samhita? So we all know that nephropathy, neuropathy, and retinopathy, these are all three microangiopathies. Microangial level, there is a damage of the microangiopathy, and so that's why microvessel level there is a damage. And if it is a damage takes place in kidney, this is a nephropathy. If the same damage takes place in nerves, it is a neuropathy, and the same damage takes place in the eyes, it is called as a retina. So can we take inference of whatever written in Prameha for nephropathy? Can we treat similarly neuropathy? Can we treat similarly retinopathy? So we have discussed retinopathy similar to Prameha. In Kafach Prameha, there is a lots of, we can see all the symptoms where there is a lot of Bahuta and Bahuta of Kapha. Similarly, in the retina, there is Bahuta of Kapha and Abaddhata of Meda. Next stage, there is a bleeding. Similarly, in retina, there is a bleeding. And the last stage of Vatash Prameha, there is a Dhatuksha. Similarly, what we can see in the retina also. So can we have the correlation with Prameha? Whatever happened in Prameha in retina, whatever happened in Prameha in kidney, can same thing maybe happen in retina? So can we take the correlation of Vatash Prameha, Pittash Prameha, and Kapash Prameha similar to retinopathy? Can we treat it as a microangiopathy? And can same principles of microangiopathy can be put into the retina to treat the retinal vessels? So this is all I want to discuss. I want to put forward of you that though there is no mention of retinopathy separately, but Charak has given a very clear-cut guidelines to treat the microangiopathy in Prameha. So we can follow the same things in Prameha and whatever mentioned in Prameha and treat retinopathy. I think I will finish my lecture. It's 4 o'clock, so I can finish my lecture of treating modalities with diabetic retinopathy. If you have any question, please, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Dr. Prasad Vaidya sir, for sharing your knowledge on diabetic retinopathy. It will be definitely